How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to the Real FI Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McGrath, with my smiling co-host, James Ripion. How's it going today, James?
Going well, Patrick. I think we're going to have a fantastic episode today. We're going to learn something new. But before we get started with our guest, Naaman Taylor, Patrick, you got anything that you want to tell our guests?
Yes, I do. If you guys are watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, why not? Please make sure to hit the like button. Drop a comment below on what you think our guest is going to be talking about today, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Now, let's get into it.
Great. So, Naaman, why don't you give us a little bit of background on yourself and just, fill in our listeners a little bit about your history and, what you've done in the past.
Absolutely. First, James Patrick, thanks for having me on here, man. This is going to be really cool. It's going to be a good time spent getting to know you guys here, sharing my story with your audience. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on here and use your platform to share my story and pour into people. I always love to tell my story and share as much as I can and add value and over deliver. So your listeners are in for a treat, and I just want to say thank you again for letting me get on here and do this. I am originally from Cleveland, Ohio, man. I joined the Army when I was 18 years old. I served in the Army for 13 years. I was stationed in Korea, Texas, Colorado, Oklahoma. I lived in Germany for 3 years. So I've deployed twice, one Iraq, one Afghanistan. So I've been around to some desirable locations and some locations that are less desirable. I say that because the Army was a really big, important part of my life. And I will always like to let people know, like, no matter what it is your first career was or your first job was, you can always reinvent yourself. You can always try something new that can change your life forever. So just a soldier for 13 years, man. And then I got into real estate about 11 years into my service, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life, man. But aside from that, I'm a husband, father, brother, friend, mentor, real estate investor. We own a car rental business. We have about 25 units in our personal portfolio. And I'm looking to continue to grow. I've been out of the Army now for about 45 days. I don't know if you guys do video or just audio, but I got
It's video and audio, man. So we're good.
Awesome. So I got like a little 30-day beard going here. I'm enjoying being a civilian. I'm still doing some adjusting here, but it was a crazy over a decade, time spent of service. But I'm really looking forward to this next chapter in my life, man.
So before we get into kind of what you were doing while you're in the Army to transition into civilian life, what has that transition been like? So you've been getting into real estate investing for about 2 years prior to exiting. Talk a little bit about what that transition kind of feels like going from the Army to a civilian position, because you don't seem to be going the traditional, working for somebody else W-2 route. You're building a business for yourself. So what has that transition been like?
It's kind of been hard to put my finger on it still because it's been such a short period of time. What I have enjoyed is, like, today it's Monday and I can do this where I would have been at work right now. I can choose when I want to go work out, whereas I usually have to work out at 6 in the morning. I still find myself in the gym at that time, but I can pick and choose when I want to work out, and then I can just make a fuck ton more money not being in the Army. So the transition itself is still ongoing, but I'm enjoying my time freedom. I'm enjoying more time with my wife and my daughter, and that's not just due to getting out of the Army. That's due to the choices I made a few years ago to get into real estate investing in general. But I'm still feeling a little bit like, like I still call people civilian. It's like there's still some stuff that sticks because I did this since I was a boy into growing into a man. So there's still some things that are going to stick there, but it's been pretty easy transition so far for me because I was already doing this for multiple years before I decided to exit.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, man, I definitely want to thank you for your service. I know I appreciate it. I'm sure all of the listeners appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to do all this amazing stuff that we're going to be on here talking about if it wasn't for guys like you who went and fought for our rights to be able to do that. So I greatly appreciate it. I got a ton of friends who served as well. And, thank you very much for all of the sacrifice, sir. But with that, let's get into, what got you even interested in real estate investing. Like, you said you were an army man, you know, uh, serving, like, and then where did it all start? Like, was it a book? Was it a podcast? Was it, somebody else that you were stationed with that was talking about it? YouTube? Like, break that down for us, man.
Yeah, Patrick. So I always tell everybody first, it's an honor and a privilege to serve. It really and truly is, man. It brings some stuff out of you you don't know that you have in you, and it really helps you become a man, woman. Really helps you understand respect and a lot of things that translate to being a really good entrepreneur. Um, a lot of the regimental lifestyle. I mean, there's just a lot of things that the leadership qualities that transfer over from soldier to CEO. There's some really cool stuff there. But I mean, I got started in real estate specifically. I bought my first house when I was 23 years old. I used my VA loan, but I didn't have an investor mindset. I bought the house. I bought a duplex. This is before anybody knew house hacking. This was like 2013. There was no house hacking. There was no bigger pockets. There wasn't nobody telling you this stuff yet, at least not that I had been exposed to. I kind of got lucky and bought a duplex because I just didn't want to pay rent. So I used my VA loan to buy this duplex. And then I used my VA loan again to buy a single family house. But this was years and years before I had an investor mindset. So I bought those two properties and then I didn't buy another house for 7 more years because there was no investor mindset. I had deployed and then I had gone to Germany and then I had then the pandemic happened. And that's how I got started in real estate, was during the pandemic. I was living overseas in Vilseck, Germany when the pandemic hit. And then I was traveling, dude. I went to like 20 countries while I was over there, Italy and Spain. And I mean, just the places that you dream of going on vacation, I was going to them every weekend because I lived in Central Europe. So it was really cool. And then the pandemic hit and like all the traveling stopped. My job slowed down because now what's the mission when no one can talk, touch, move, operate? So I was sitting in my barracks room, man. And I decided to get into some sort of financial literacy. So I started watching, like most people do, Dave Ramsey when they first decide they want to get their shit together. And I did all his baby steps in like a month. And I was like, dude, this is not going to make me any money.
Yeah.
Well, we always say that Dave Ramsey is a great place to start. It's not always the best place to finish. Some people find security in that Dave Ramsey, minimize debt, lifestyle. But for those who maybe have a bigger picture of where they want to go with their business or their finances, it's a fantastic place to start, but it's not going to give you to that multiples and multiples $1 million net worth very quickly at all.
You have to choose your lifestyle, right? And then reverse engineer it. So if you want to live the way that he preaches, that's the best plan you can roll with. But I don't want to live like that. I want to drive a freaking Ferrari or a Porsche. I want to live in sweet houses. I want to go on vacation all the time and continue to travel. I want cooks, drivers, chefs, babysitters, like all of it. I want all of it. So I have to go make a lot of money. And I realized, Dave Ramsey wasn't going to get me there. But that's where I started. And luckily, the YouTube algorithm worked in where Bigger Pockets was a couple episodes down underneath like where Dave was. So I ended up watching one episode of that. And it was one of the earlier episodes. Like Brandon's beard was about as long as James's beard is right now. It was like, he had acne all over his face, this goofy looking kid. And those were the episodes I started watching. And over the course of 2 months, this is all I did because we were just in our barracks rooms. I just drink coffee, work out, watch Bigger Pockets, man. And I probably watched around like 200 episodes before I decided I could I can do this shit. Like I could do a BRRRR. And I was living in Germany, so I hired a mentor. And he was charging me like $100 an hour, and I thought it was insane. I was like, $100, like Jesus Christ. At the time, I thought that was like an insane amount of money. But he didn't have any coaching program. He didn't have any like experience with that. I just reached out to him because he was in a similar market. I heard his Bigger Pockets episode, and I thought we could get along. And I was right on all fronts. I hit him up on Instagram one time. He responded. We were still friends to this day, but he helped me get started in real estate investing. And I decided from Germany in my barracks room I was going to do a BRRRR in Dallas Fort Worth, and that was how I started in this industry.
That's amazing, man. I continuously say, like, Bigger Pockets. I mean, I know we have this podcast here where we focus on real estate and financial freedom and all of that, but Bigger Pockets, if you really want to hone in on your niche and what you need to do, you put in 200 episodes of Bigger Pockets, like, you're gonna understand real estate and you're gonna understand the niche that you want to do and kind of where you want to be. So
there is an
man,
exception. There is an exception, Patrick. Bigger Pockets does not talk about wholesaling.
there's only a few episodes out of like a ton of it. There's
They don't
really
call it
only
wholesaling. They call it something else, you know?
yeah.
So if you want to learn how to BRRRR, flip, freaking traditional real estate, that's where you need to go. If you want to learn about wholesaling, that's not where you need to go. Right?
Why do you think why do you think they're trying to avoid that conversation? Do you think
I don't know. That's whatever their agenda is. I'm not sure, but I know that the wholesalers make more money than the flippers. I know that.
Much less invested too, as far as capital up front too. I mean, easier to get started.
Listen, this is the reason I chose wholesale. I did about we'll just go back, right? I did about 10 BRRRRs from my barracks room in Germany, and it was awesome. But it was the same thing with Dave. This isn't gonna make me rich. It was the same thing.
Yeah, so wait a minute. So we're talking 2.5 years ago. You start off, you want to do your first BRRRR in Texas, and you were able to do 10 of them. Excuse me. You were able to do 10 of them before you moved on to the next strategy in that short period of time. Because I know there's a ton of listeners out there that, think about doing 10 deals and they're like, wait a minute, 6 to 9 months at a time, yada, yada, yada. Like, how are you able to do that and compress it down into less than 2 years?
Yeah, because I'm crazy like that. So what I did was I did the first one, right? And as soon as the first one was done with the rehab, the rent, refinance, repeat part is the freaking easy part. So as soon as I saw proof of concept, not even the whole concept of one, I just pulled the trigger on 5 more. I was like, I can do 5 of these. Then, first of all, I'm not doing any of the work. I was buying my deals from New Western. I don't know if you know who that is, but like they're a big nationwide, basically dispo company that they help wholesale deals. And I was buying from them, which most people don't buy from them because they don't have great deals. But it's all I knew because that's who my mentor was buying from at the time. So I bought my first like 5 deals from them, but I had to leave a little bit of money in there in each deal. And then I started connecting with other wholesalers. And that's when I was truly burning all of my money out. And I was telling all my friends too. I'm like, hey, I found this cool thing where it's called the BRRRR strategy. All you need is a little bit of money. We can do this together. And I did a handful of those BRRRR projects with a friend of mine. And she was my financial partner on like 3 or 4. And then the other 6, I only left a little bit of money in each one. So I was able to do my biggest projects in less than a year.
That is amazing. But, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there thinking, well, look, there's such thing as a seasoning period when it comes to the refinance part. Like, how are you able to buy these properties and then get your money out so quick? Were you paying cash for them up front? Like, fill our listeners in on how you were able to do so many of them so quickly.
Yeah, so for my financing, I had sold one of the houses that I told you guys about that I bought with my VA loan, and it had appreciated because you buy real estate and wait, you'll make money. I don't even remember how much we made. We made enough to where we could, start using that money to BRRRR. And then I borrowed some money from friends and family to do a handful of these. And then I was using hard money to finance the rest. So I was borrowing money from my friends and family because they believed in me. They saw my passion. They're like, "Yo, this dude's gonna he's gonna do it." So I borrowed maybe like 20 grand from family. I think I had about 50 or 60 myself saved up from the sale and then savings. And then I partnered with a friend of mine to fund the rest. And then we used hard money. We were getting about 85% loan to value on all these flips. So we only needed about 20 grand to do each deal down. So while I had 5 projects open, there was only $100,000 that I needed to run 5 projects.
So let me ask you a question, and this is going to kind of backtrack to one of your VA loan purchase properties. Were you able to sell that tax free with being in the military and claiming that as a primary residence when you did make that sale?
Yeah, correct. So the military, I know everybody knows about the 2/5 rule, right? The military has the 2/15 rule. So I hadn't lived in a house in 7 years. But because I had lived there for 2 years out of the last 15, I was able to sell it and get the money tax free. And I sold the other one too, man. I mean, we cleared 6 figures on the other one, tax free. This is the power of like living in something for 2 years and then selling it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people underestimate getting started in that way. Like, even if you don't choose to house hack necessarily and buying a duplex or renting out rooms or something, just buying something as primary residence with the thought that you can hold on to it for a few years, at least 2, live there for 2 years, move on to the next one, and then sell it tax free in the future. Like, that's going to put you strides ahead. Not paying taxes on that because you're going to buy at least one more deal as a result.
You should always be implementing this strategy, man. For me, I know I'm going to move a few more times. I know that I plan on making so much more money that the house I live in now is not the house I'm going to live in next year. The house I live in next year is not the house I'm going to live in 2 years after that. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm like, let's just keep upgrading these every 2 years. Let's keep collecting 50 grand tax free every time we do it. This is an excellent strategy if you don't have a ton of seed money to get your business rolling or a ton of money to invest. This is a way to get in the game, not just house hacking, but living in houses for 2 years and then just reselling them.
Exactly. All right, well, I want to get back to the part. So what I am assuming, this is me assuming, is that you were using hard money to get in these deals to fund the renovations, and then as soon as it was rented, you were refinancing out. Is that how it went? And were you using traditional mortgages for the refinance, or were you going like were your hard money lenders willing to refinance into fixed rates? Like how did that process work?
Yeah, it was a mix of both. So we did some where the refinance was with the hard money company, 30 years, like a commercial loan. Now we're even getting some DSCR loans. But most of them I refinanced out with a traditional lender, 30-year fixed rate around 4% at the time. This was like 2020. But we were getting these deals for like 60 grand, putting like 20 into them, maybe 25 into them, and then they were coming back at like 150. So I mean, we were doing just fine on some of these, and I sold some of these this last year just because of how crazy the market was. But now I know how to get these houses without paying a fee because we have our own wholesaling company now. That's partial acquisitions company.
Exactly. All right, I love it. So for all our listeners out there, how many deals were you able to do in that 2-year span or 2.5-year span? Because remember, you just got out of the military 45 days ago. So, you're sitting in your barracks doing that first deal from Germany till now. How many deals were you able to do in that short time frame?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly how many wholesale deals we've done. I can guess and say like 75.
But
Um,
like the bird deals,
the
like
bird deals we've done over 20 birds now. So we moved probably around 100 deals total because we flipped, 20 houses as well. I mean, it wasn't that hard to do this last year. We learned we were buying houses at bad prices and still winning. We learned all of our lessons on the way up. So it was really cool. Not everybody is afforded that opportunity. Even though I knew how to burr correctly, a couple houses we thought we'd be able to flip to hedge funds quick. We ended up getting stuck with and having to flip them, just making 15K on a flip. You're like, whoa, this is a bad investment, right? So we had some wins like that over the last 2 years. So don't get it, people that are just getting started, do not get it twisted. Like this was an easy time to learn how to fail and not lose in the last year. But you as long as you're recognizing the lessons, you'll know moving forward. Okay, I remember when we bought a deal like this that was similar, this happened. So I got to learn all my lessons when things were going well, and not everybody gets to do that.
Gotcha. So, and I'm kind of curious to hear what your mindset on that is, because you're talking about, it maybe was good and then maybe might not be good moving forward, or things might be a little difficult. What are you seeing in the market? Do you think things might be a little different for wholesalers or flippers in the coming years, months, whatever?
Yeah, this whole industry is relationships and numbers. So understand, what your numbers are is just the main thing that'll keep you out of trouble. You know, and then having the right relationships with realtors, hard money lenders, other wholesalers, and buyers, right? Because right now, man, I mean, the hedge funds are buying now at 78 to 80% instead of 100, right? So that changed people's entire businesses. Um, People that were only selling to them are shutting down or pivoting to selling traditional wholesale route. We built our business in the reverse wholesale model, so that didn't like completely change our business. We just do less deals with hedge funds.
Gotcha.
But what's changed is the amount of deals that are being done for people doing, I don't know, 5 to 10 deals. Maybe doing a few less deals, and you're getting squeezed a little bit more on your assignments.
Yeah.
But that's just right now. It's
yeah,
the golden age. My friend Robert Winsley, he keeps saying this. He says the golden age of wholesaling is coming, and it's going to be next year when we hit some sort of a bottom. Even if we're at the bottom right now, this is still good because what happened in the last year is the sellers were in the driver's seat for houses, and we all rode this wave and we all made good money and it was all fun and games. But now the buyers are going to be in the driver's seat, and that's when people can make the most money.
Right.
If you,
I figure you'll be finding more distressed sellers at that point. When buyers are in the driver's seat, you're going to find sellers who just can't sell for the price they need, and they're going to hit the stress, and you're going to be hitting all those pain points that make it a good deal for the buyers. I'm looking forward to that day, man. I mean, it's been hard to buy flips and rentals in the market I'm in, and especially other markets, and they've been found off market. Truth be told, like that's where you've been making your money.
we didn't
But
even really buy any houses this last year. We bought maybe 2 or 3, and now I'm buying 4 this month because of I'm like, oh yeah, let's go, let's start turning this up, let's get back to our burst strategy, let's keep a couple of these, but let's still wholesale, right? And if any wholesalers are listening, I'll just give them this: the person that you want to find right now is the landlord that has access to capital. That person is going to be your best friend right now as far as buying deals because they never stop buying deals. Hedge funds stop buying deals. All these freaking flippers that got in the industry in the last 2 years, like those people aren't buying deals anymore. If you're a wholesaler, find those landlords with access to capital that have been doing this for 10, 15 years. They'll buy all your deals.
well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I know a lot of our listeners are going to be interested in starting up a wholesale business. Maybe they don't have 50 grand that they can just plow into their next deal. How are you suggesting that people might go find those landlords with the capital to deploy that would be good recurring purchasers for these deals? How are you finding these people?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways. One, your local real estate meetup events, right? They're still going to those. Two, you can call title companies and ask them who are buying the deals. And three, property management companies, because someone's managing these landlords' deals. Four, you can pull a list off a batch or prop stream and just call. There are multiple websites. I think it's gosection8.com. You can go pull and find some more buyers. What else? Investor Lift. We'll pull our list off of Investor Lift and dial as well, and then we use God mode and call all the numbers that are underneath there. I mean, there's a bunch of ways that we teach people, and this is just a handful. A bunch of ways we teach people to find people that are buying deals, right? But it doesn't matter. You can have all the resources, but it's two things I told you that run this industry: relationships and numbers. If you can do those two things, you'll be successful. So all those websites and all the things I just said to help you find buyers, doesn't matter if you don't call and you don't build a relationship with a buyer.
Let me ask you this, Naaman. Like, what gets you more excited, man? Is it flipping that wholesale contract, or is it buying the deal yourself? Like, what motivates you right now? Because you've built this vertically integrated wholesaling business into your bigger business. Where are you putting your priorities? Flipping these contracts, or just as an acquisition for yourself?
Yeah, so we do nationwide wholesaling, so it depends on where we get the deal at, what we do with it. If it's in market, there's like 3 places we want to buy right now. If it's in one of those places, then we'll keep it. If it's not, then we'll just flip the contract. But neither one of those things gets me more excited than locking up the contract. That's the fun part. I don't get to do that every day because I have to run multiple departments, and we have a whole other couple businesses. We have a car rental business that we have. I told you I partnered with RJ to run his education platform with Titanium Investments, and then we have our wholesaling company. So super busy, can't always do the cold calling, but when I get to do it, that's the most fun part to me, is the art of closing a deal. And that's the part that gets me the most excited. Not even selling the deal. I like to just let somebody else worry about the hard part. That's fun for me.
I could not agree more, man. I love putting the deal together and knowing that it's locked up. Sometimes by the time I even get to the closing table, the allure of knowing that it's already closing is, kind of gone and past, and I'm on to where I'm going to go next with the property or the next deal. But that getting that all together is really the exciting part for me, as well. But I really like to break this wholesaling business down a little bit, because you said you've been able to do like 70 deals over like the last year. So how many guys do you have? Like how much time are they spending calling? Like, man, we need to know some details on this, because I know for me, like, I've just sent out some postcards and got a couple calls and got a deal or two out of it. Haven't really got into the actual phone calling and call centers and all of that stuff. So give us that overall picture of what that all looks like.
All right. So for marketing in general, we do cold calling, and then we use a company called iSpeed to Lead for a la carte leads, and they run our Google and Facebook ads. For the cold calling in particular, we have 4 cold callers. We use REI Call Center for that. I also buy leads from a company called Lead Zolo. We just started using them recently, and we're closing like 1 out of 5 deals from the leads we buy there. But their leads are all generated from YouTube. It's pretty cool. Those are our main marketing channels. And from the 4 cold callers we have 3 acquisitions people, 2 part-time, 1 full-time, 1 dispo manager, 1 COO who also does our transaction coordination. And then we have 2 people that help run our JV department, because we do a lot of JV deals with our real estate community that I also run.
Yeah, and for everyone out there, I believe we've had one of the people that you just mentioned on our podcast before, Felipe, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Mm-hmm. Felipe is one of the founders of REI Call Center. Here's my boys right here. I got their hat right here too.
There you go.
Yeah, those are my dogs, man. Me and Felipe actually used to run part of a mastermind together as well. Um, back in the day. Yeah, Felipe is awesome, dude. That's my homeboy. We probably talked yesterday. I think I shared him on my story.
I love it. I love it. Well, I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it because Felipe brought a ton of awesome information, just like you're getting right now, on how to find deals, how to close deals, different strategies, and all the different things that he did. I mean, he just like you, man, he brought so much energy to me and James. Like I can already, if you're not watching on YouTube, the smile James has been having, just getting motivated from this conversation we've already been having, is exciting. So I hope you, if you're listening in your car or watching on your phone, like you can kind of are getting excited too, because this is the nitty gritty stuff on how you can actually make money, how you can actually become financially independent, build a business, be truly become financially free. Like all of this information we're giving to you guys right now for free. All of us are taking time out of our days to have these conversations and provide value to you guys. So, you know, make sure that you definitely reach out to any one of us and ask those questions, you know? And with that, so you got all these people, you're doing like 70 some deals in the last year. Like, how much money does that break down to, man? Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, so the average wholesale fee in our company is about 12,500. And then from the flips, they're all different on the money we've made. The biggest flip that I did, we made 112,000. And then our biggest wholesale fee, man, we had one for like 90K that fell through. So our biggest deal has been with a hedge fund. I think we did one for like 44K. But we mainly do a lot of like 10, 15, $20,000 rips from our wholesale fees. And I'll tell everybody this. It took me from zero investor mindset, just watching YouTube videos, to 2 years to become a millionaire. A lot of that was through forced appreciation of fixing up houses. And then some of that was from high earning position like CEO of a wholesaling operation. So there's a bunch of different ways you can make money, especially in this real estate industry. I mean, you can do a couple flips a year and make six figures. You can do a handful of wholesale deals every year and make six figures. It's not super difficult if you pay to play, get in the right room, surround yourself with people that know what the hell they're doing. Then it's easy to get on that trajectory. It's when you try to do it by yourself and you don't tell nobody what you're doing that it kind of takes you a while. Because I've put a lot of money into coaching, personal branding, and just getting in the right rooms so I could get further faster. And that has paid off tremendously. The personal branding and the coaching has paid off tremendously over the last year that I've actually focused on it.
Well, I think what's important to point out here is you're building a business for yourself, and you're not just looking to take income and just buy a rental property, every 12 months or so. That's a fantastic way to achieve financial independence, but it's a slow and steady route. And I feel like, in the conversations that we've had with people who get to a very high level of success quickly, they're building these businesses with systems in place where they can delegate a lot of the work and do a lot more work faster by just plowing money into systems and processes that generates a lot of cash flow. And that's what your business does. It's your wholesale deals, your flips, all the assignment fees that you have coming in. That's all great revenue coming in real quickly that you're just reinvesting into the beast that you built.
Let me share this too, James, because I missed this part earlier. Like I said, the Dave Ramsey strategy didn't change my life. Those first 10 BRRRRs didn't really change my life. Because you're making $200, $300, $400 a door. And most people are like, well, if I can make an extra 2-3 grand, that'd be amazing. That'd be, life changing until you make it. And then you're like, this didn't do that much more. Okay, I can have a little bit better dinner. I drive a nicer car. I can afford a little bit bigger house. Right? It doesn't change your life dramatically. So that's why I decided, not just with the change in the market, but the change in the paychecks, because what you get from a rental, yeah, you got this appreciation over time and, the tax write-offs and all the other stuff, but it doesn't earn you big checks. What a wholesale deal does for you is earn you a big check. And, we can move these houses sometimes in 2 to 3 weeks and make 20 grand in 2 to 3 weeks, right? Versus waiting 2 to 3 years to refinance a house to get some money out, right? The acceleration and gas you can push down on when you're wholesaling to generate revenue is insane. I know guys that have done 7 figures in 1 month from wholesaling houses. You cannot do that BRRRRing houses out. All right. So think about the lifestyle you want to live, how much money you want to make per month, and pick the industry and the job that best fits the lifestyle you want to live.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And speaking about building businesses and generating more revenue, talk to us about this rental car business that you got going on, because I've had a couple conversations recently with people about this same exact thing, mostly because I'm interested in a tax beneficial way to buy a nicer car and operate it as a business. But tell us about this Toro rental car business that you're working on.
Yeah, so some of the money we made from wholesaling, we bought cars, and not what you think, right? I didn't go buy my Ferrari, I didn't go buy my Porsche, guys. I also still have delayed gratification, even though we're writing big checks. I'm a big believer in just reinvesting the money to continue to build bigger businesses. I want to be a billionaire, man, not just make a couple mil. All right. So I'm like, all right, how do I do that? And the best way to do that is to have a bunch of businesses that earn you, millions of dollars each. So how do you do that? You start out by having businesses that make you thousands of dollars each. So one of our businesses is a rental car business, and we have about a 12 car fleet right now. Not all of them are on the Turo platform, but most of them are. We were making wholesale checks and buying cars for anywhere from 5 to 10 grand, because the market that we are in here in Oklahoma doesn't require us to have Mercedes and Jeep Wranglers and Teslas and whatever, right? We could buy these. My best car on there is a 2018 Kia Optima. My second best car is a 2009 Honda Civic. All right. So the Optima is a nice car, right? But the Honda Civic isn't that nice. And it does laps around the rest of our cars, because what they need here is more of a cheap, small car for the Army bases graduations, just to get around town. The town is like 30 miles long. So no one puts any real miles on your car. We're getting like $1 per mile that they drive or more. And we've made all these cars have paid themselves off. 100% return, cash on cash return, minus the Range Rover we bought.
There we go.
Like, hey, you live and you learn. My wife wanted this Range Rover, so I got it for her with the expectation that it would make its payment on Turo. Fucking not the case. But the Honda Civic pays for the Range Rover, right? So you have your assets paying for your liabilities. And we've managed to do that over and over and over again for months and months. And the car rental business is not a year-round industry, but here it's pretty close, because we have these graduations, and we didn't have to spend big money or go use business credit or, all these different strategies people have. Make 20 grand on an assignment, spend 10 of it on a car, put the other 10 back into the other business.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm curious about that myself, because I live in Fayetteville. So
Perfect.
there's going to be a huge base presence for that as well. So it sounds like it's going to be the same kind of market that you have. So I'm going to explore that more. That's a good idea. I'm glad I asked about that.
Just look on the platform and see what else is being rented and get cars that are similar. That's it.
I love it, man. I love it. So, all right, you got all these businesses going on. You're making this cash. You're 2.5 years in. You got these huge goals. Well, I really want to know, like, break it down for us on what some of those goals are. Is it a monthly income? Is it a net worth? Is it an amount of businesses? Like, what are these goals that you are working for, with some of the numbers, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, I try to keep my goals 6 to 12 months, man, because I think some people like set these like 5, 10-year goals and they're
worthless. Yeah, we
Yeah,
know.
you
They
know,
change too. They change frequently.
everything changes every 6 months, right? I didn't even think, let's say, 2 months ago, my boy RJ called me and asked me to do the real estate education with him, and I'm thinking something else. This was 2 months ago. I got my own thing, my own plan. I'm out. I'm about to freaking go crazy, and I get that phone call. So like, you never know where you're gonna have to change your business, what's gonna happen with the market, what's going on with your family. So I keep it 6 to 12 months, man. My goal is by the end of next year, um, be liquid about 5 mil and have a $10 million net worth. I want to get really liquid this next year. In addition to buying these houses, I think we're going to get a lot of them for free, and minimal money down. But I want to wholesale, flip, and continue to build other educational businesses. So, and I want to get liquid because I want to be able to, like, if it does go any lower than what happens next year, I want to be able to buy 100 houses for 50 grand each or whatever, that number is. And I plan to do that through our real estate education platform, teaching people how to wholesale, how to do their first deal, man. Let me have a passion for it, brother. Community, we have over 100 investors inside of our Titanium Crew community. And then also from wholesaling, house flipping. And I don't know, man. I don't know what the other streams of income I'm going to come up with yet. There's a couple different, people have roofing companies. That's one of those ones you can kind of plug and play and hire a COO to kind of run and operate. So there's a couple of those kinds of businesses that I consider starting next year. But right now that's where I'm at on how I plan on making my money next year.
Perfect. Love it, man. I mean, those are good goals to have. I mean, I think in the coming months, people who are in a position to buy are going to reap the rewards. And as an investor, it's a super difficult thing to take the foot off the accelerator and save up money and not invest it perpetually. But that's also an investment strategy, is having liquid cash available. Cash is an investment as well. I mean, it's used differently in different times. Right now, the dollar is strengthening, so you're going to be able to buy more assets. As things crater. So
what cracks me up is the people that are like, I want to save money for my emergency fund, right? And what's the number you need to save for your emergency fund? They're like 30 grand. I'm like, when's the last fucking time you had a $30,000 emergency? Mm-hmm. I've never had one, right? Personally. So I'm like, why wouldn't, if your goal isn't to something crazy to save all this money, like, why wouldn't you invest that money? I just don't, they don't own, those are the same people that don't own a house, right? Don't own a rental, don't own a business, don't have an investment strategy, but they save all their money. And it drives me nuts. My wife was one of those people. She's one of my best investors, by the way. She had like freaking 30 grand. And I'm like, give me that money. She's like, it's an emergency fund.
Yeah, I've some people, I hate to paint it with this brush, but I've found that some women sometimes like a little bit more safety net with having a little bit more cash, sitting around. Like, prove me wrong. Like, that doesn't have to be true, of course, but I think that sometimes, personally, it came from a position of fear. Not wanting to lose money when I first got started. So I'm building up those big cash positions. But after you take down your first deal, that definitely all changes pretty quickly. But Naaman, why don't you tell us, man, like, what's motivating you to accomplish these big goals, moving 6 to 12 months at a time at warp speed? Like, what's fundamentally driving you to take these huge steps and leaps?
Dude, because I'm having so much fun. You don't understand, dude. I was in the army doing fucking nothing. Like, I was going to Iraq, Afghanistan. You're doing this honorable job, but like, what was the fulfillment other than thank you for your service, right? And truly, like, people say money isn't everything. It's not, but it's a lot of fun when you make a lot of money. And we haven't even made a lot of money yet. We've made just some money, and it's still pretty fucking fun. So I'm excited to do this stuff because of the adventures I'll be able to go on with my family, the things I can do with my friends. Like, you just create better experiences when you make a lot of money. And I'm here to collect fun experiences while I'm here on the earth, man. And getting to fly around and go to UFC fights with my friends, going on vacation with my wife, going to football games and sitting in box seats. We just this last we went to Future Flipper Pineda's event in Vegas, and you guys know the founders of Investor Lift, Robert and John and those guys. They rented out a suite at the top of the MGM Grand, and we all got to go up there. And I remember being up there, looking out there and thinking like, this is insane. This is how you come to Vegas, right? And I've had a few of those moments in my life where I'm like, okay, this is how you spend time in Vegas. I once set box seats at a Cowboys game with some friends of mine. I was like, this is how you watch football. You know, I've been to the Shoe. My wife bought. I'm an Ohio State fan. Been to the Horseshoe. My wife bought some really nice tickets one time. We sat like 3 seats behind Big Nut. I'm like, this is how you watch college football, right? So there's some things that I just want to continue to be able to live like that and do those things. I told you I lived in Germany and I traveled all around Europe, and I did it making 60 grand a year. I cannot wait to do it making 600 grand a month. Like that's what motivates me to have so much fun with my wife, my family, my kids. Like it's coming soon and I'm going to have a blast. You're going to know that I make a lot of money because you're gonna be like, this dude's fucking have fun all the time. All right. Like, and that's what it is, man. And right now I'm willing to put in that work.
That's what it is, man. It is the work. Decide, commit, take action, man. It's that action part, and you're taking a ton of action. But I really want to know is, what obstacles do you see yourself facing to try to, accomplish these huge goals that you have, a $10 million net worth, $5 million liquid in the next 12 months. Like, what are the obstacles that you see yourself facing, and how do you plan on overcoming them?
Yeah, it's the same obstacles everybody else has, right? Everybody, there's a lot of visionaries out there, right? It's finding your integrator, finding these high level operators that can help you run your business. I can connect you. I can come up with a great plan. I can raise the money. I can't operate it all day either. So it's going to be finding those high level operators that you can build multiple business with. I mean, I watched Pineda do this over and over and over again. Dude owns like 7 or 8 companies, does nothing in any of them because he has high level operators that just run the shows for him, and he's the brand and the money behind some of this. That's at least what I see. That's from my foxhole what it looks like. So the obstacle is finding operators that can run these companies, and how to overcome them. It's meeting people and building relationships. It's going to all the events. It's networking, which is something I'm great at. I'm trying to build this golden phone, and have as many phone numbers as possible in there. I'm in Kent Clothier's mastermind, the boardroom, networking inside the boardroom, finding as many people as possible that are excellent at what they do, partnering with them to achieve greatness.
So I want to ask you something along those lines, and sometimes it's a hard thing for people to talk about because you're facing a reality of your growth as a person, investor, an individual. What are your thoughts on kind of shedding people from your past that aren't aligning with your goals into the future? Because as you grow at this pace, the way you see the world is just going to change really quickly. And maybe you can align some of this with people you grew up with prior to the military. Maybe you came across some of these people in the military. They just don't share the same values. So how do you kind of wrap your head around that with moving forward through life while managing relationships?
Yeah, so most of them are just going to go away. This is how it goes. The room changes for you. The table changes. People work themselves out of your life. They don't add value. They don't call. I tell everybody what I'm doing. My social media is crazy. I mean, I drop 3 videos a day about exactly what it is that I'm doing and what's going on in my life. If you're interested in what I'm doing, you'll reach out, right? If you don't, that's on you, right? If you decide to stay in that, what my mentor calls this little blanket of mediocrity, right? Then that's what you choose to do. You knew me 3 years ago before I was doing any of this, and you watched me change my life through Instagram, and you decided not to reach out. You have written yourself out of my life. Not the other way around. And
I absolutely, one second, I absolutely love that mindset. And that is a mindset, because, I think sometimes you feel bad when you don't know why, and it's because of the other people. It's not necessarily yourself. And I love how you said that, like, hey, if you're not reaching out, you're seeing what I'm doing. We're all putting ourselves out there, what we're doing, what we have going on. And if you're not interested, well, you already know what I'm interested in. So, you
very
obviously
clear.
are the one who have decided that, we're not on the same page. It hasn't been me, but it's not like you haven't seen what I've been doing and what's going on, and you haven't reached out. So I, I I'm resonating every bit of what you're saying. So
I
my
don't need
my
any more
apologies for
drinking
cutting in.
buddies. You know, I don't need any more drinking. I got enough drinking buddies, right? I need operators. I need people that I can make money with. I need people that can go on the same kind of vacation that I can go on now, right? And here it is too, James and Patrick. Is like, we're as leaders in this industry, people want some of our time, right? So it's our responsibility not to give our time to people that need it, but for the people that deserve it, right? And as a leader in the industry, it's our job to teach people how to deserve our time. And that's why we do. That's why I do the videos. That's why I share things on my story, so you can know what it is I'm looking for, what it is that I'm doing, so you can bring me a deal, or connect me with somebody you think I'd be interested in talking to. Add some sort of value to deserve my time, so I can text you back, call you back, spend time talking to someone that deserves my time. Everyone needs your time. Who deserves it, right?
I think that's really powerful. I've come across a lot of people, and I've developed this expression: only help those willing to help themselves. A lot of people will come to you with their hands out, asking for advice. How do I get into my first deal? And the first question you can ask them is, how many deals have you analyzed? Zero. Well, you don't care about your time. I'm not going to give you mine. And if you can't take the time to figure out the most basic next step, it's that simple. So I agree with you there.
It's really easy for you guys. You guys be like, hey, go listen to episode this of the podcast and then come back. And if they listen to it, cool. If not, well, you know what it is. First of all, you should be listening to all my shit because you're supposed to be my friend. And then second, listen to this because this is exactly what I need. Right. So when people don't, man, they write themselves out of the room. I'm very clear about what it is that I'm doing. Right. Very clear every day when I share my story, my page, my reels, whatever it is, social, that's how we all follow each other. Very clear. When you see me in person, guess what I want to talk about? The same stuff. All right. It's very obvious what it is I'm doing right now.
Yes, sir. I completely 1000% agree. Anytime one of my buddies or people that know me are like, hey, I got a question about this or a question about that, I'd be like, oh, cool. What episode of the podcast are you on? Be like, oh, I haven't checked it out yet. I'm like, well, sorry. Gonna need that review, dog. Gonna need you to go check those episodes out, man. They got all this great content we're putting out here, and you can't even listen to it. I feel you. Well, look, man, after that, this is a perfect segue into our last segment of the show that James and I like to call the Big
Big
Four. So,
four.
James, you know what to do.
Let's
Take it
do
away.
it. So, Naaman, for the first question, what's something that you do that feels like a financial independence hack? Something that's like a cheat code propelling you to the next level?
Oh, dude, it's working out early in the morning. Honestly, if I have a client early, I wake up even earlier so I can get my workout, so I can just come on there just fired up and then pouring into these people. So when we do our coaching, I always try to time a workout in before our coaching call because they're gonna get the best version of me versus my ass rolling out of bed, slugging on a coffee, and I'm like, "Good morning." No, I'm started boxing recently. I'm coming out of the gym fired up. I just threw 1,000 punches. I'm like, what's up, man? Let's get to it. What's up with you? Like, I'm fired up. So that's something, and you can do that with business meetings. You can do that with podcasts. You can do, there's tons and tons of things that you can do that with. I mean, I got fired up just talking about it. I mean, if you roll this back to the first 5 minutes of us talking to right now, it doesn't even sound the same, right? So that's like a really cool hack that I try to run. Before you have an important conversation, people feel the passion and they want to do business that are with people that are energized and focused and determined and have this high energy about them, because the people, they believe in themselves and they'll believe in you.
I make sure to do that before I have big phone calls. Like, and I'm always walking around. Like, I can't, if I'm having an important call, I'm typically walking around because I got to be moving and like
Hear
keep
it.
that energy up, you know?
You can
Got to
hear it.
keep that energy up. Oh, love it, love it, love it. All right, we call this one resources. So, you already gave us some, but are there any particular books, podcasts besides Bigger Pockets, or people that really shaped your investment journey, your financial independence journey, your mindset journey, like any kind of stuff that you could give our listeners out there as like, hey, go check this person or this out, that might resonate with them?
Yeah, so one book that I read in the beginning that I love to tell people is Shoe Dog. It's a really cool book about Nike, and so it'll get your mindset a little different when you see how this guy was investing in himself and his company. Podcast, I listened to Ed Milet's podcast. He has some really, and I just started doing that a few months ago. He has some really cool people on there. I don't have a ton of time where I listen to podcasts and read books anymore. Um, but that book, that podcast, and then people, you mentioned one of them, man, my boy Felipe Mejia. You should go follow him on Instagram. I think it's at Felipe Mejia, REI. Diego Corzo helped me a lot in the beginning, dude. Those two guys and their mastermind was incredible. Now they're doing their own individual masterminds, incredible. Gonzalo Corzo's Diego's brother, man. The Corzo brothers in general, man, those guys helped change my life. Cash Keys is their company. They did about 6 million this year in wholesaling. They were some of the ones that originally showed me the game. Those are my boys, man. I love those dudes. Kent Clothier, I owe him a lot. His mastermind helped get me further than anything else that I've done so far. Just his mindset coaching and then building the reverse wholesale model. And then the board, being in the boardroom with Kent is incredible. He's just an incredible dude to be around. I love that guy. So him, and then my guy RJ Bates. He showed me how to do everything virtually nationwide, and now he's a partner of mine. 1 year ago, I went to his training, and now we're partners. It just shows you, like, if you take crazy action, go hard, show people what you're doing, double down on yourself. Your idols become your rivals, right? Your freaking mentors become your partners. Peers become your subordinates. It's like the things you can do in 1 year, people underestimate. And that could have been a 5-year goal that I set for myself last year. And at the end of last year, I said I want to turn my peers into subordinates and some of my mentors into peers. And that happened over and over and over again. So yeah, those are some good people to follow, man. And
Boom.
myself,
All right.
follow me. I want to thank me
Of
for
course.
hard work.
Of course. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there for sure. And James is gonna do his due diligence and make sure they are posted in the show notes on YouTube. So if you want to find and click on the links to any of those people, you got to go check out the video on YouTube.
Perfect.
James.
Yeah. So Naaman, man, I know you live in 6-month, 12-month sprints, but we're gonna go step out a little bit. Paint a picture for Naaman's life personally, or in the business side, 5 years in the future. Like, where does it look like your life is at? Like, paint that picture for us. What's going on for you?
2028, let's call it. That is freaking forever from now, dude. I have not a clue, man. There's so much shit I want to do and so much crazy stuff that happens. I guess at that point, I mean, let's be over the $50 million mark. Be around my kids, my family, my wife. We should be able to run a lot of these businesses virtually. So I'll be living wherever I want to live. I do this exercise called the perfect day, where we write it down and then repeat it. And man, I edit that thing all the time because my perfect day always changes. Right.
Well,
So it's like,
tell us your current version of the perfect day, man. What's up?
yeah. So I was, for me, we're living in Italy. We're coming off of the coast there. Just a day on the yacht with my family. It's just, fishing with my friends on the yacht. There's just different parts of this yacht that are just amazing. and and it's my yacht. So I can do whatever the fuck I want. But yeah, man, I mean, eating the food that I like, in Italy, I really like the carbonara, spicy pepperoni pizza from there, man. Like I said, I spent some time over there, so a good Cabernet Sauvignon, and then swimming and chilling with my people. I love the water, love the beach. So that's really, there's way more detail to that, but that's the idea.
I like it, man. It's a good picture.
Man, I need to make it on that boat. That sounds delicious.
Oh, baby. Let's let this podcast go viral. It would like change my life. Patrick.
That's right.
Follow anybody. You gotta follow Patrick and James.
Let's make it happen. All right. So for all our listeners out there, if they want to connect with you, if they want to get that daily inspiration from your stories, check out what's going on, where's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so it's gonna be on Instagram at Naaman Taylor Investor, Naaman Taylor Investor. I'm big on Instagram. I reply to everybody. I drop in 3 reels a day that add value. I'm putting cool stuff in my story for you to see and add value to your businesses and your life and your family. And I'm just a big believer in sharing my experience and what I'm doing. Information for the most part is just completely free with me. We do have, paid events and stuff like that, but if you ask me a question, I'll answer it honestly. So you just got to know the right questions to ask, I guess, to get the right answers.
That's right. That's right. All right. You guys know the drill. If you love this episode, if you hated this episode, we don't give a shit. Leave us a review. Google, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, do something, man. Let us know what you guys are feeling out there. James and I, that's the only benefit we get out of doing this, besides talking to amazing people like Naaman here, is reading your reviews. So let us know. Instagram, all that other stuff. Visit therealfi.com, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Real FI podcast, where you learn from the investors that have lived the hard lessons for you. To connect with us during your pursuit of financial independence, be sure to join our community by following us on Instagram or emailing us at info@therealfi.com. If this content made you financially, mentally, physically, or spiritually richer, please make sure to leave us a positive review on your preferred content platform. Cheers to kicking the 9 to 5.